Unbelievable. This is Biden China Inc. It's the $10 million ask. I mean, because hey, who doesn't ask somebody that they hardly know for 10 million bucks? That's how much money Hunter Biden wanted from a Chinese energy executive with reportedly connections to the CCP. The guy's actually now since disappeared. It's all according to new emails released by one of Biden's former partners and uncovered by the New York Post. Wow, 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 wow. All of this, as a Rasmussen poll shows that most Americans believe the media did hide the Hunter Biden story before Election Day. And they did. They definitely did. And our country is going to pay the price. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Trish Regan Show. I'm Trish. I mean, this is wild. This is absolutely wild because we've got these newly discovered emails, right? Obtained by the New York Post. New York Post again. Got to give them credit on that one. Hunter Biden apparently wrote to Xi Jinping. This is the energy tycoon out of China, who, as I said, has since vanished. And he wrote to him asking him to quickly wire. Actually, that's a direct quote from the alleged email. Quickly wire $10 million to help establish and fund his business venture called Sinohawk Holdings. This was actually back in 2017, and the emails dated from June 18th, 2017. So Joe Biden's son clearly looking for something. A lot, if you ask me. I mean, $10 million, it's not like, hey, can I have a few? Can I have $10 million? And he started this email by wishing best wishes from the entire Biden family to Xi Jinping. So what's that about, the entire Biden family? I guess that's probably something you get pretty used to very quickly, right? Because if you're the son of the former vice president, you make a point to say, best wishes from my entire family, because clearly your dad's going to carry a whole lot more weight. Anyway, then he goes on to ask for 10 million bucks. So I want to unpack this a little bit. First of all, in his defense, there's nothing wrong with Hunter asking for the money. There's nothing wrong with him trying to earn a living. There's nothing wrong with him having a business. I mean, he's entitled to all of that. Nonetheless, what's the deal, as I said, with the entire Biden family wishing him well? What's that about, really? Who writes that? I mean, you can't help but ask. You can't help but question, was the guy trying to market his dad's influence? I mean, I think we know the answer, right? Because fortunately, we have this email. Courtesy of the New York Post, which, by the way, got shut down for its reporting prior to the election. I'm going to get to that. But anyway, back to this email. At the time, Biden Sr., Joe Biden, was actually out of office, so he has that going for him, right? I mean, if he was actually in office, like he was when Hunter Biden went and took the job with Burisma, then it would get a little more complicated. Anyway, you just have to start to say, what's really going on here? What role is China trying to play? What were they trying to do? The business partner, remember him, Tony Bobulinski? He's the one that came forward back in October ahead of the election. He's the one that said Joe Biden did know all about his son's plans, and there was an effort to make sure that Joe Biden was being compensated. Again, I'm not saying it was illegal because Joe Biden wasn't president at the time, wasn't vice president at the time, was not holding office at the time, but none of it sounds good. None of it looks good, right? And it's okay for us to know this. It's okay for us to talk about this. I suppose what really bothers me in all of it is the fact that the story itself got shut down. Not the story, because again, I'll just point out, everybody's entitled to earn a living. But when you start asking questions and those questions get shut down by the mainstream media and by big tech, well, then that takes on a whole life of its own. To me, that is the story, because it's starting to feel like we are China, right? The United States of America, where we pride ourselves on our First Amendment, increasingly feeling like China. And I'm not the only one who thinks this. A new poll I want to cite from Rasmussen indicates that more than half of America, 52% of likely voters, think news organizations ignored the Hunter Biden story in order to help Joe Biden's campaign. I mean, you wonder why there is no trust in the media right now. I do believe that a lot of news organizations and big tech definitely ignored this story because they were worried it would be seen as election interference. But by ignoring it, that in and of itself is a kind of election interference. And the New York Post, I mean, think about what they went through. The New York Post, it's been around for a long time. Actually, the paper was started by Alexander Hamilton. It had its social media accounts locked because it reported out the story on Hunter Biden and his business dealings. I mean, by the way, this was going on all the way back into the early 2000s. In fact, you know who reported on this back when Joe Biden was just in the field of contenders, one of many? It was Politico. And the story was titled Biden Inc. How do you like that? So you're allowed to report on it until he becomes the nominee, and then it's off limits. I mean, this is bizarre stuff. This is USSR style stuff. This is China style stuff. I mean, when people get shadow banned, if you don't know what that is, familiarize yourself with that term. I've certainly learned it because I've seen my stories shadow banned because for whatever reason, certain big tech operations don't want this information getting out to all of you, which is, by the way, if you have not subscribed to this channel, if you have not subscribed to this podcast, please make sure you do me the favor and importantly yourself the favor of subscribing right now. It's really important. It's really important because they are trying to freeze us out. They are trying to make sure that the important issues that you and I need to be aware of, that we need to discuss, they want to make sure that those are put, or swept, I should say, right under the rug. And we can't allow that. All right, coming up, everyone. San Francisco is renaming a very important high school. Abraham Lincoln High School is getting renamed because Abraham Lincoln did not do enough for minorities. I've got that story I'll explain right after this.